Going to believe who I'm with here. My close personal friend, the one, the only, Mr. Mike Matheny.
I've never seen you before in my life.
All right, Mike, we can agree to disagree, but one thing we can agree on.
Get your baseball news at one Cardinal, one Cub, and one beer.
With your favorite, Vince Hopper?
And the other guy?
JJ?
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to our next episode, our current episode. Because next week will be our next. This is our current episode, I should say now. Welcome to our current episode of One Cardinal, One Cub, and One Beer, the only baseball podcast you need to listen to and watch. And write book reports on and stuff like that. You know, submit stuff to the Library of Congress about this great podcast. I do want to remind you, please like us on Facebook. Those of you who are watching the YouTube channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you can have our episodes as soon as they drop. You can contact us through leaving a comment on one of our platforms. You can contact us directly. You can do the old-fashioned email, onecard1cup1beer@gmail.com. If you'd like to support our efforts through Patreon, we greatly appreciate it. Go to patreon.com. In the search bar, just type One Cardinal, One Cup, and One Beer, and you will find us. And like I said, that is greatly appreciated. Next week, we do have something special. Frequent guest participant in our show, Ray Hartman. He's going to do a little game with me and JJ. And the loser will be called terrible names.
What's new? That's an everyday thing for me, Vince.
Because we're losers, man. So, JJ, I wrote a joke today. I did.
Okay.
You read it on Facebook. I'm going to go ahead and say it.
All right.
So, I live in Peevely, and there's a railroad that's right down the bluff from us. And my wife, who grew up here, said, yeah, all the way up until the 90s, there would still be hobos that would, they would come over and you have a hobo knock on the door, say, could you have something to spare for me? And, and it's just kind of part of life here. So I wrote this joke, and I would tell this on stage, and I know I'd get groans, but I love the joke, okay? It's like this. I find the railroad tramps of Peevely strangely attractive, but then again, I freely admit I'm a homosexual.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
that's the finisher. That's your finisher right there. Woo-hoo.
Oh, JJ, how are you doing?
Hey, doing great. Me and Brody left on Thursday morning, drove all the way to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm afraid to admit, I hate to admit this, Vince. I knew I'd be going through Missouri and Illinois and Indiana and Ohio. I didn't know I'd be going through West Virginia. And Brody goes, hey, we're 36 miles away from Wheeling. And I said, oh, there must be a Wheeling, Pennsylvania? Okay. And then we seen a sign that said, welcome to West Virginia. I said, what the heck? What town did you put in there? But we had to go through West Virginia to get to Pittsburgh, which I guess I never really paid attention. So I'm embarrassed, but I didn't know that. Beautiful area, Vince. Beautiful area. So we go up there, we get settled for Thursday night. We go to Friday's game, did a bunch of stuff in the city. The Rangers won 6-2. I won $106 because there's a casino right down the street. Yeah. So the Rangers scored 2 runs in the first inning, and I was cut. And then the Pirates made it uncomfortably close, and then they pulled away. So it was a great game. Saturday we went to the game. Very hot. It was hot here. Saw a different part of the city, park where the Steelers played. We learned a few valuable lessons from going down there because we didn't know where to go, where to park, nothing. Had a blast. I recommend anybody going to Pittsburgh. I know you've been there. Great fans. I've talked to Donn, who's coming on the show later, and several other people. A guy who knows Weird Al Yankovic, huge baseball fan, and he plays Darth Vader in some of his songs, in that one song about the American Pie. So anyway, just met some great people, great place. They really pay homage to the history, probably more so than any other park I've been into. And but as the fan said, we love the Pirates. They're just not very good right now. So anyway, had a great time, Vince. And then, of course, Sunday, since I've seen you, I got home about 5 or 6 in the morning because I stopped at a rest stop and slept about an hour. Went down to a Boys Dream Hobby Shop, our friends down there, and I got to meet Andy Bennis and Jason Isringhausen. Awesome. And Andy Bennis was wonderful. He went to school Evansville, Indiana. He's from that area. Real good friends with Jay Bell. He said his favorite teammate was his brother, Alan Bennis. I said, well, I bet you better say that. And then he played football also at Evansville, and he was the quarterback. He just wanted to play baseball, but they said, look, we'll pay for your books and we'll pay for your school and his housing and his classes. And he said, and my books? And he said, and my books. So he was the quarterback after that, after the starter got hurt. Outstanding. And one of his family members is like the pitching coach for the AAA team for Pittsburgh. So he is, and I wore all my Pittsburgh stuff down there because I made a big deal about coming all the way back from Pittsburgh to see those guys. And he said, I follow the Pirates more than I do the Cardinals these days because of his family member. I think it might be a son who's one of the coaches down there in AAA. So, it's all kind of comes together right there, Vince. And I hurried back for all this so I could get back and hang out with my good friend Vince Opper and do this wonderful podcast right here.
Isn't that exciting?
It was fun.
Well, JJ, I can't add anything to what you've said, but what I can do is show our faithful viewers the video of you and Brody's trip to Pittsburgh.
Hey Vince, we finally made it here in Pittsburgh. It's a beautiful day, a little overcast. Where are we at? Roberto Clemente Bridge. Here's Roberto right there, heading our way over to PNC Park, baby. Well, Vince, Pittsburgh might be in last in the division, but they're #1 in pogo sticking. Hey Vince, just like at most of the ballparks, they have the players on the side of the stadium. And look who it is, our old friend, Mr. Tommy Pham. Do not disappoint him in fantasy football. So Vince, this is the area where all the Pirate retired numbers are. And there's plaques, and you can tell who's who, and they honor them here. And it's a little walkway, a little zigzag walkway up there. And there's little placards on the wall over there with who they are and what they did. Vince, Andy Warhol is from Pittsburgh as well. And look at that. They did some Willie Stargell or Andy Warhol type things here. Very cool. Well, Vince, here we are. It's about an hour before game time. Look at that. Me and Brody's at PNC Field, baby. Look at that. Vince, I have never, there's Mr. Brody Jackson right there, live and in color. Vince, I have never been inside a ballpark early enough where they're still taking batting practice. The Texas Rangers are out here taking batting practice. Look at that. What a place. We are in PNC Park, baby. Vince, you can't come to a game without stopping by the famous Manny St. Guillen's barbecue. Look at that giant old cards of Manny. There you go, and it's barbecue, baby. All right, Vince, here it is. It's the Grom versus Cruz. There you go. All right, I'm going to stick around for one more pitch.
A clean start, and Hannah has her first back. Here we go. Bacon Bird was the winner last night. As the weather has heated up, so has Bird. He's won 2 of the last 3 and 3 of the last 8 races. But he's trailing right now. It's a 2-parade race. We got Oliver and Hannah going through the University of Pittsburgh tunnel. We got the dance team, the cheer team. We got Ron to the finish line. It was Hannah. Jalapeno Hannah. One more look. I love that finish. This will be a good look right here. Watch this. Busting through the line with her foot. Nice job. Wow.
Hey, that looked fun. That looked pretty cool.
Good time. The two robots was over at the Science Center. I knew you would probably get a kick out of that. They had like a robot area. So anyway, I took a picture and sent it to you.
I like my robots fighting. I remember when they had the robot fights on TV.
Well, the Rock'em Sock'em robots too.
Yeah, I'm talking about like they would build these.
Oh yeah, with saws and flamethrowers. Oh yeah,
Cool.
that's pretty
That
rough.
was the ultimate guy thing. I mean, yeah, I had to watch that, of course. So. Anyway, well, I'll tell you, I went out and I took the day off, and I could not sleep last night. And I've been open on this. I have to take gummies to sleep. So I ran out of gummies and I forgot to stop at the dispensary and get some. So for a few days, I didn't have gummies. I will not go to the dispensary in Peebly because I don't want someone seeing me there thinking, there's that. I got that stigma, I guess.
Hey, Bob Marley.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so I should get over that. I really should get over that. It's no one's business, but anyway. So anyway, I ran out of gummies and I have some edible melatonin. The strange thing about this is I don't fall into deep sleep. I just kind of doze and I'm very tired. And then Kathy researched it because every time I do that, I said, man, I have these weird dreams. They're not necessarily nightmares, they're just weird. Like last night, I dreamed sometime during the night, this guy who was about 10 foot tall was after me about something. And he fell down, and I wound up just punching him. Weird. But anyway, so I didn't sleep well last night, and I did a lot of work outside this morning. And this is bad. I had coffee this morning, and then outside I made bacon and French toast on the griddle. And for some reason, when I have bacon, I have to have Diet Pepsi. For some reason, it just goes together. So I'm having my bacon, my French toast, and my Diet Pepsi. And then I go working in the yard for about an hour. And I'm like, God, I think I'm going to die. This is so hot. Why? Then I really haven't properly hydrated. What was I thinking? So
yeah, caffeine and that heat don't go together. That is true.
Yeah, so I walked from the back. We have a slide hill going up. It's like, and I mean, when I say slide hill, I mean slide hill. It's like a little incline. I'm like, so then I have to climb up the back stairs to get into the house, and I've got this big, huge Yeti knockoff, like 32 ounces, filled it up with ice water. And I just sat in the TV room and I just guzzled and guzzled and guzzled. And when that was gone, I got in the shower. I barely had any hot water. I just let the cold water. I'm like lapping up the water.
I'm off this week, so we're got this big dumpster out in the driveway, and we're just getting rid of stuff. We've had so much clutter, and I'm finding stuff I ain't seen in years. But I found out about Potosi. You can put anything out by the mailbox, and somebody will come by and get it. We put one of those rocking horses. Same thing. We put old weights, with the Sears set with the little bench press and all. We set that out there. Boom. Family came by. You mind if we get these? No, I'll take it. So we've just been setting stuff out by the road, and people have been grabbing it. So, and it's so hot. We get up. We start at about 7 in the morning, go to about 10, take a break. Then me and Brody will be back out there after dark and doing some more because it is just scorching hot. So everybody be careful. It's just deadly hot right now.
Terribly hot. Well, let's get into baseball. I don't know if you watched this. Were you there? Friday's game.
In Pittsburgh, I was.
O'Neill Cruz, there's a ball going out the center. He doesn't get in front of it, which I can understand because he's brand new to center field. He tries to get it on the side. It kind of takes a little hop around his glove and goes out to the wall. I've never seen a player just not run after the ball, an outfielder. And he didn't run after the ball at all.
Oh.
He just kind of, oh, well. And the right fielder, who I believe was a rookie, he's the one who had to run after the ball and throw it in. And the pitcher, I think Jake Burroughs was pitching. You probably couldn't see it from the stands. He wasn't happy.
Oh.
He was glaring in the center field. I have loved O'Neill Cruz. But man, this is going to be hard for me to get over. He's going to have to do a lot of goodwill because there are some things that's inexcusable to me. And when you're playing a team sport and you give up on any kind of play, you are letting the rest of the team down. Max had a soccer game when he was a kid, and this is something that I had to learn when I was a kid too. Because when I started playing baseball, I was very selfish. I wasn't into wins and losses. I was into how well Vince was going to do. And, you know, I had a coach who gave me a stern talking one day. This is a team sport because I was the best player on the team. He actually benched me, and I was like really angry. And when he put me back in, I wasn't trying. And so he sat me down and said, this is a team sport. I put you on the bench because your attitude is selfish. And then when I brought you in to finish the game, it reflected the way you played. It's a team sport. You're letting every player down. Max is playing a soccer game, and he kind of gave up on a game once. He was frustrated, and I don't know, he's like 8 or 9. And I told him after the game, Max, you let down everybody on your team when you quit playing. And I never remember Max quitting after that again. That's a lesson that you need to learn. O'Neill Cruz is old enough to know that lesson. He's an adult. By golly, did the fans boo him? Kind of what was the reaction in the park?
Oh, yes. It was, I would say 70%. You know, a lot of people, you know, it was Little League day, so the kids were like, the parrot. They're all yelling for the parrot. But the adults were all booing. And I remember when he faced DeGrom 3-4 times. He struck out twice. And a guy behind us, you could hear him plain as day, goes, Cruz, there's 2 ways to play, and you're playing the wrong one. You know, they were just giving him hell. And just, whoa, he booted him at the bat. Then he misplayed another ball, but it was just, he misplayed it. He was hustling. And then there was another play in the alley between left and center, and they ran it. They sort of run into each other, kind of sideswiped. The ball goes off the wall.
Mario, yeah.
The left fielder got it, but he fell down. Then he flips it to O'Neill, and it was like the Keystone Cops out there. But then O'Neill goes turned, and he threw a BB. I believe it's third base. Or the shortstop, the cutoff man. It was like, whoa. I mean, this kid's got talent, but sometimes everybody in the pros has talent. You just have to. You can't be doing that. You can't be doing that. And the game got away before it ever started in that one. They were up, it seemed like 4-0 in 3 innings and 2 in the first inning. First 4 of the 5 hitters got hits. And that just kind of killed the whole atmosphere there. And the next day they had Mitch Keller pitching. And Vince, the guy was 1-9, and he had a 4.03 ERA. If Mitch Keller played for you guys or us, and Adam Frazier misplayed a ball, and he did run after the ball after he missed it, but went all the way to the wall. He ran after it. But Mitch Keller would be probably 6-4 on one of our teams. I hate to say that. Their defense it's just shoddy. You know, I saw plays of bobbles. I mean, we've gotten both of our teams are very good defensively, and we've just gotten so used to, it's in the alley. Well, Pete Rocco just run that ball down, and he runs it down. Or it's up the middle. Oh, here comes Mason Wynn. Yeah, he'll turn, throw it to first with that 102-mile-an-hour arm of his and throw you out. But poor Pirates. We'll have to concentrate on them more. They have some time. Of course, you've got McCutchen and you got Chapman over there, and I love Keller, but yeah, just that was inexcusable. And it's just the fans said to me, "We love our Pirates, we hate the owner, and the team just isn't any good, you know." But they come out 31,000 on that Friday night. It was firework night and Little League night. A lot of Little Leaguers there, but that's pretty good showing up. A team that's really struggling badly, and they still get 31,000 in the stands. That's pretty cool.
See, I've seen managers something like that. You're out of the game, and I've seen that happen to good players.
Yeah,
they jerked Javi out of a game when he was in his prime with the Cubs.
Billy Martin, Reggie Jackson went out there, get out the field.
Yeah, I was surprised that he stayed in the game.
Yeah.
However, I don't know anything about the new manager. I can't remember his name even. The guy who took Sheldon's place.
Yes, I do know it. I have it written down somewhere. I'll keep looking over this here. I wrote it down just for that purpose because I didn't want to be caught not knowing the manager's name, and I can't remember. Oh well.
I do know
I can't remember.
When you're 6'7", and you're lanky like that, that's kind of a long way to the ground to catch a ground ball. But he was a shortstop, so he should have been in front of the ball.
Yeah.
But I can't verify this. I don't know what happened in the clubhouse, and no one's going to say what happened in the clubhouse or the dugout. But if I was a betting man, I would lay my money that McCutchen's the one who sat him down and said, "Hey, buddy, you got all the talent in the world. That can't happen. It just can't. You are too talented of a player to get a reputation like that, because that's going to follow you your whole career." And I hope it was a one-time thing and he learned his lesson. And I think maybe he did, as evidenced by the fact that, that other weird play that he and Canario had, where Canario flipped him the ball and he threw the BB to third base. I think it was third base. So I hope he's learned his lesson. I thought it was kind of ironic, is that the right word? I don't know. That he made the last out of the game too. So
second base.
It was very weird to see someone just not. I don't think I've ever seen someone, just an outfielder, let the ball go by, have the ball go by them, and just not turn. I've seen some players loaf, but I've never seen a player just not care. And right, frustration and learning a new position, and there's your team's losing. I'm sure it's frustrating, but you can't let that happen. You can't let the team down like that.
I will say the fans are forgiven. I mean, we all make mistakes. That's the beauty of baseball. You make more mistakes than you succeed. I mean, that's just the way the game works. Saturday's game, he came up, the fans cheered him. Come on, you got this. You can do this. So, and that was good to see, because me and Brody were sitting there going, "You think they're going to boom?" And no, they cheered him. And come on, let's go now. They just came off a double hitter in Michigan at the Detroit Tiger game, so a lot of their starters were resting. They didn't have Hayes in the game Friday, or Reynolds, and seems like their first baseman wasn't playing either. So they had three of the starters were setting that day, giving them a little rest. So I think that's why he played, but I don't know if he's usually the center fielder or not. I don't know if Reynolds plays some center, and McCutchen played both games. He's so popular, They have this big hype thing going when McCutchen comes up, with the ships shooting cannons and everything. They get really excited when he comes up. But yeah, hopefully he learns from this. And like you said, he's old enough, he should know better. Maybe he's a DH. Maybe that's what he's supposed to be. Or maybe he'll be a first baseman. A 6'7" first baseman might be a good idea, man. Can you imagine the reach across there? So maybe it's just a position thing for him.
Well, I do know that St. Louis fans remember Gary Templeton. Had a terrible reputation in St. Louis and flipped off the fans, and Herzog nearly strangled him in the dugout over it. But when he went to San Diego, he he had learned his lesson. He cleaned up and became one of the leaders on that Padres team that went to the World Series, and still had he didn't have the career he started off with as far as the numbers, because the knees went bad quick with him, but he had a solid major league career. And that he did a lot of things in St. Louis that were bad. It just culminated with the time that he didn't hustle the missed third strike and didn't run it out. But he rehabilitated his
he still comes back for events. I mean, I've met him once, and I didn't mention that, but I just thanked him for all the years of just great baseball and great memories. And he looked great. He looked pretty happy. So him and Glimmer Brummer were sitting together. I saw both of them at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So I just hope O'Neill Cruz learned his lessons. This was a one-off thing, because he's the face of that franchise when McCutchen retires.
Yes.
And speaking of McCutchen, not quite Hall of Fame numbers, but he may get in because the intangibles that he brought to the game, the charity work, the positivity, the being a great ambassador for the Pirates and the other teams he's played for, the Yankees, the Giants, I can't remember who else, but he's always been a great ambassador for the game. And there are some people that may not have that Hall of Fame career fall just short, then maybe this kind of puts him over. I would like to see him in the Hall of Fame. And admittedly, he's one of my favorite players of all time. Just a class human being. But yeah, kind of like maybe a veterans committee or something would put him in and base some of that on the fact that he's an awesome guy. I always make jokes about Harold Baines not belonging in the Hall of Fame, and I don't believe he does. And La Russa helped his buddy, but I will say this about Baines. He was a great ambassador for the game too. Always had a smile on his face. Whether he was with the White Sox, the Rangers, the A's, he was a good person to have as far as in Major League Baseball. Maybe that kind of helped him along too a little bit. I don't know.
Long career, put up some numbers like years and years of numbers. Like McCutchen just passed up Clemente in home runs, third all time in Pirate history. That's pretty cool. And that's just him being a Pirate. He had home runs elsewhere too, and all-star games, Gold Gloves,
MVP ones.
I think I always think of McCutchen sort of like McGee and Edmonds here in St. Louis, where the Hall of very great, the Hall of really, really good, but I don't know if they're quite just right up there to the line. I don't know. So we'll see.
I don't think McGee approaches the line. I think Edmonds does. I think that's a better analogy.
Okay.
McGee, after his MVP season, I think he battled like 255 the next season. He kind of
wild swinger. Yeah. Two batting titles and a world champ. I think maybe you had two world. I know he had a world championship with the Cardinals, but he might have got one with the A's. I'm not sure. He was over there, but I don't know if they won that year or not.
I don't know if he got one or not.
Yeah, I don't know. But I know he's got one world championship. But yeah, and all the stolen bases, very high up in the stolen base category there. But yeah, you're right. Edmonds maybe more because of his power, and he played a long time too, Gold Gloves. But every team's got a few guys. It's just like, oh, they're right up there to that line,
Yeah. Vic Harris, utility player of the 70s. He played in Cubs in 74 and 75, and then the Cardinals in 76. He passed away.
Oh.
I remember Vic when I started collecting baseball cards, and I think first year I started collecting, he still had the Cardinal card, and I'm like, oh, he used to be a Cub too. Not much power, but had some speed and hung around the game for, I don't know, 8-10 years, which is more than I hung around the game for. So
that's right. Me too.
rest in peace, Vic Harris. Cardinal fans and Cub fans both remember you. Very good. Let me do the walking wounded real quick.
Sure.
First of all, just throwing this in because former Cardinal, Washington outfielder Juan Yepes has been outrighted to the minors, and the guy had a lot of promise and had a lot of pop, and I thought when he went to Washington maybe he would take his game a step further, but he's kind of stepped back. Justin Verlander is off the 15-day IL for the Giants, which is bad news for everybody else. Aaron Nola has been transferred to the 60-day IL, and that's going to hurt the Phillies. Or not, because when he was pitching, he was getting lit up, so maybe that's a good thing. Seattle DFA'd Rowdy Tellez, former All-Star, and probably the best player in Major League history named Rowdy.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I include this guy, former first round draft pick by the Cubs. Miami has released Albert Almora Jr., who looked like he had a promising career, and then in Houston he hit a foul ball and hit a child and hurt her severely. And the family was tight-lipped about it. I don't know what happened, but after that moment, Albert Almora Jr. was not the same. Kind of like Cesar Cedeno when he accidentally, however it went down, shot and killed, I think it was a lady. I don't know, but he's
correct.
Yeah. Roki Sasaki is transferred to the 60-day IL. Excuse me for a minute. Yes. Yes. Sorry. Former Cub Jorge Soler of Anaheim, Soler of Anaheim is on the 10-day IL with lower back inflammation. For the Reds, Wade Miley, former Cub, is on the 15-day IL with the left flexor strain, and Heimer Candelario, also twice a former Cub, has been DFA'd. And a few years ago, we were saying, we should have kept Heimer Candelario. That's our third baseman. Well, no, it's not. It's kind of falling off the face of the earth. Jake Berger for Texas has been placed on the 10-day IL with a strained left oblique. He's had a weird year. Got sent to the minors at one point. Now he's having trouble staying healthy. So, former Cub Jason Hayward has been DFA'd by the Padres. So, anybody looking for an outfielder who will hit about 190, pop an occasional home run, but catch the ball.
And give a good speech. He's a good speech giver.
Yeah, there you go. Things go from bad to worse for Baltimore. Adley Rutschman has been put on the 10-day IL with a strained left oblique, and Ryan Mountcastle has been transferred to the 60-day IL. I picked Baltimore to win the division. I was wrong. It's not going to happen. Cy Young Award winner from last year, Atlanta's Chris Sales, on the 15-day IL with a fractured left rib cage, and he was a prime candidate for trade because Atlanta's going nowhere this year. He's got control this year and next year, and a lot of people thought Cubs are a good fit for him. Well, I don't know. I've seen fractured ribs. I've never seen a word fractured left rib cage. Sounds to me like the whole thing. So,
you can't pitch with that, definitely.
Yeah. With the Mets, Jesse Winker's been transferred to the 60-day IL. I am so sorry, Mr. Marianello.
Yes.
The White Sox have signed former Met, former Angel, I don't know who else he pitched for. The White Sox signed Noah Syndergaard to a minor league contract. So apparently his wife said, get out of the house and do something for a living. I just know the last 2 years he pitched, it was not fun to watch. It's hard to go from an extreme power pitcher to a finesse pitcher, and it's very hard to pull that off.
Most can't do it. Yeah.
Finally, Corbin Carroll of Arizona is on the 10-day IL with a fractured left wrist. That is all the general baseball news I have. What do you have, JJ?
Well, you know what? It was brought to my attention last night. I was watching telecast. We'll talk later about the Cubs and the Cardinals. But I was watching telecast, and it was 1984 yesterday the famous Sandberg game. And as baseball fans, when we say the Sandberg game, everyone knows what we're talking about. But Vince, where has the time gone? That's 1984. This is 2025. Can you believe it's been that many years ago? But it's one of those events that I remember exactly where I was. It seems like it was a Saturday. I was at my friend's house. We were going to go out and play wiffle ball. It looked like we had the Cubs beat. Well, Willie McGee hit the cycle, and nobody talks about Willie McGee hitting the cycle. And we had Bruce Sutter. He's coming in the game. All right. We're going to go out and play wiffle ball in a minute. And all of a sudden, Sandberg ties it up. Then he hits another home runs off Sutter, and the Cubs end up winning the thing. And we were like, who the heck is Ryne Sandberg? And that was the beginning of the legend of Ryne Sandberg. I mean, you guys knew about him before that, but to us, that was like, good Lord, that guy's great. And but 1984, Vince, what, you got any recollections? You remember the day or where you were at and all that stuff?
Oh, I remember exactly. It was Saturday game of the week, and I worked at the Pancake Ranch in Wood River. And I was a busboy, and I was probably the only busboy that wasn't on drugs. But anyway, I was a busboy, and I kind of got picked on because I didn't do drugs and drink and all that other stuff, you know. I was a good Baptist.
You're a good man.
But anyway, I get off work. I would work from 5:30 to 2:30. I get home, and my friend Phil came over, and my brother-in-law George was there, and we turned the game on, and the Cardinals were winning, and we're kind of paying attention to it, and then we start really watching it. So when Sandberg hit the first home run to tie it in the ninth, it was like, wow, that's awesome. And then the Cardinals come back and they score a few run or two. I don't remember how many runs. But then he came back up against Sutter again and another one out. And it was like, wow. I mean, Cub fans knew who Ryne Sandberg was the year before. He had won the Gold Glove at second base. But the thing that's interesting is he was kind of like a Nico Horner. Nico Horner's hitting like 285, 290 this year. Still doesn't have a home run. And he's got some power, but you'd think, you know, we're almost halfway through the season. I think he would have walked into a few.
Yeah.
But Sandberg was kind of like that. He, you know, 7-8 home run type hitter, you know, good contact hitter, high 200s hitter, 270 to 290, somewhere around there. That's kind of how we saw him. And then during spring training, I can't remember the coach now. I don't think it was Jim Fry, who was the manager of the team. I think it was one of the coaches, pulled him aside and said, and talked to him about situational hitting. There are times we want you to muscle up and try to drive the ball. And you could get into double-digit home runs that way, drive in a few more runs, hit more doubles, and kind of talked about him situational hitting. You don't hear that term much anymore because it's all launch angle. But back then, you know, baseball was played different. And so he started doing situational hitting. So if Dernier, who was our leadoff hitter, Rob Dernier, got on base, Sandberg would take a lot of pitches and try to get Dernier a chance to steal, or he would hit behind the runner. We did a lot of hit and run, and Sandberg would go to right, you know, with Dernier taking off. Next thing you know, we'd have first and third to start the game. So when he played, when that game was played, I heard Sandberg interviewed just about 5 years ago. And he was talking about, in those days, you were taught to hit on top of the ball and try to get a line drive. That was the way swings were. Your people say, you know, swing level. That was the theory. If you swing level and aim for on top of the ball, you will hit the middle of the ball and you will get line drives. You'll get singles, doubles, triples, you know, and occasionally one will fly out. But he said Sutter was different. He's the only pitcher, well, maybe not for the rest of the year. He was the first pitcher I decided, with that split finger fast, I'm going to try to hit the bottom of the ball. And that's what he did, and he hit the 2 home runs. So those are my memories of it, going crazy. And it was at that moment I thought, I might see the Cubs go to the World Series for the first time. Fell a little short, but my gosh, that was a fun season.
That was so much fun. And, you know, Vince, that kind of brought in a weird way, are the histories of the teams together, because for years after that, it was All-Star, Sandberg at second, and Ozzie at short. It was just always the Cub Cardinal duo in the All-Star game. And I thought that was pretty cool. Here we are, we're rivals during the year, but for the All-Star game, it's Sandberg and Ozzie up the middle. That was pretty cool back then. But anyway, I can't believe it was 1984, and here we are, 2025. Time is just flying. Well, we got, for years, people would make fun of the Central and the National League. Oh, them teams over there, they're all about the same. There's no difference. They never put any of us for the favorite to win or anything like that. But I'm telling you what, there is so much talent in the Central. You look at all 5 teams, they're loaded with talent. And Wednesday is a must-see game. They have that Jacob, and I mess up his name. I'm terrible with name. Mizarowski, the 6'7" kid that threw 11 innings of no-hit ball for his first 2 starts and finally gave up a hit in the 11th inning he pitched, is in Milwaukee on a Wednesday day. Is pitching against Paul Skeens of the Pirates. That is must see. Those 2 guys right there. I don't know where the Brewers keep getting these pitchers. My goodness, but they're not going anywhere. As good as the Cubs are, the Brewers are hanging in there, and they'll give anybody a good game. So it's going to be fun. There's so much talent in the Central right now, and every team's got talent. I just think it's something special. Every team. I love to watch the Cardinals play any of these teams. It's fun, and it's going to be great down the stretch. You guys got to up close and personal get to see Cal Riley. What'd you think of that guy? Vince, he's 4 years in the league. He won the Platinum Glove last year. That's kind of the first time I heard his name, but that's the first time I kind of paid attention. Oh man, he won the Platinum Glove. Well, he went to Wrigley Field and put on a show. What was your recollections of Cal Riley up there in Wrigley?
He's a jerk.
Wow, how about that? He's a switch hitter, a catcher. He's a big guy too. 6'3". He's the Big Dumper. Great nickname. Nothing else like that ever has come along.
That's a terrible nickname.
The Big Dumper. Now his mom doesn't like it.
That's the nickname my kids gave me. Get out of the bathroom, Big Dumper, Dad.
Is that after your diet Pepsi and your bacon in the morning?
Oh yeah,
you're the Big Dumper. Yeah,
that'll do it.
He's 235 pounds and he's 6'3" and catchy. And that is the toughest position in baseball. I'm telling you what, you get beat up. But here he is. He's got he set a couple of records this week. He's already won like the Gold Glove and the Platinum Glove. He's got the most home runs by a catcher in his first 4 years, 124 home runs, 31 already this year. And he's got the most home runs by a catcher before the All-Star game. It was 28, now it's 31. It was Johnny Bench, the great Johnny Bench set that record, and that was in 1970. Look at that, 55 years that record held, and here comes Kyle Riley blowing that away. And he's a switch hitter. He's got the most home runs by a switch hitter before the All-Star game, which was held by Mickey Mantle. I mean, that's big-time praise right there. I hope the kid stays healthy. It's good for the game. It's good to see a catcher stand out there, and I know he's running around with that trident. Every time I see a highlight of him, he ends up holding the trident and running down the dugout. So, my goodness.
I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but I'm going to while the subject is brought up.
Okay. 3
games in Wrigley, 6 for 12, 4 home runs, 6 RBIs.
Good night.
And if I was a manager, and I know there are sometimes in game situations you have to pitch to someone, but that wasn't always the case. If I'm a manager and a player is that hot, they're not beating me. I walk them. I've seen Sparky Anderson, when George Brett was having that unreal 1980 season, Sparky Anderson walked him every time. He got the point. We can't get him out there. I'd rather have him get on first with a walk than hit a double or a home run. And so he just started walking Brett. And that was what his pitchers were to do, walking. We can't get him out. And that's kind of the way I would see it. I've seen players get so hot. Oh, shut up.
David Ortiz.
Yeah. Why did they keep pitching to David Ortiz?
I don't know. Maybe it's a macho thing. I remember Rich Gossage. Of course, Goose Gossage, like, I can get this guy out. Let me pitch him. home run. I forgot who it was. I think it was George Brett.
Yeah,
Somebody.
Brett owned a Gossage. Why
Yes. And Gossage is a Hall of Famer. He's great, but you don't pitch to. I'm with you, Vince. I wish they would have watched David Ortiz. We'd have our 12. Well, we might have 12 World Series, but nah. David Ortiz just beat the snot out of the Cardinals.
Yeah, we had that series against St. Louis in 2018, and Matt Carpenter got red hot, and he hit about 9 home runs that series. And I was in Portland, Maine on vacation, screaming at the radio, "Don't pitch to him!" What was his name? The outfielder for the Reds, who's now in Korea. Aaron something Aquino. He had, I don't remember. Okay. He had the most home runs like the first 20 games. Still holds a record. But he started his major league debut against the Cubs. The whole series, he just kept knocking the ball out of the park. And I was like, man, quit pitching to him. Just don't. And let someone else beat you. And that's kind of the way I looked at this week with Cal Raleigh. Why did we keep pitching to him? The only game we held him down was the second game where he was 1 for 5. His one hit was a home run. And this is funny. I saw someone post in one of the baseball groups today that they had Raleigh's stats and said something like, could he be juiced? And then he said, I've never really even heard of this guy. And I'm thinking, you've never heard of this guy. He's had this like 30 home runs the last couple of years. He's won a platinum glove. He hit that huge home run in the playoffs. You've never heard of this guy? You're not a real baseball fan.
Yeah. I didn't know him until his third year, to be honest with you. Seattle plays them late games. I don't get to watch him. And I heard the name, but I didn't know a lot about him. But when he won a platinum glove, I was like, wow. I didn't realize he was that good.
Switch hitting catchers with power. Yeah, I'm all over those. But there's a switch hitting catcher that's hitting home runs in Seattle. I'll pay attention to him.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, the Cincinnati Reds have one of their big draft choices coming. He's going to make his debut tonight. Chase Burns debuts for the Reds against the Yankees. So I'm kind of mixed there. I like to see the Yankees lose, but I also like to see the Reds lose. So good luck, Chase Davis. And whoever wins that one, I'm okay with. Also, the last thing I was really going to touch on was the Cardinals and Cubs, great rivalry. Giants and Dodgers, great rivalry. The Red Sox, Yankees. But the best rivalry going these days might be the Padres and Dodgers. Both teams have been really good the last 3 years, particularly. And I'm telling you what, did you see that over the weekend where Schultz and Dave Roberts got into it? Both teams emptied. Tatis has been hit 3 times in 7 days by the Dodgers, and then they plunked Ohtani. Now, I don't think the kid that hit Tatis the third time, he's a rookie. I don't think he meant to do it, but it is the third time. And I'm pretty sure they meant to hit Ohtani. But Ohtani's so classy, he went over with his hands behind his back and talked to the Padres. Not sure what he said, but man, that's pretty classy. I think as soon as another team player approaches the dugout, it would usually be some sort of mayhem. But I love watching Ohtani play. But that's going to be down the stretch, Vince. That's going to be a crazy feud or rivalry. Sorry, that's going to be a great rivalry.
Word.
They were playing the feud.
I'm telling you, I love Mike Schilt. I loved him when he was with the Cardinals, and I don't just hate the Cardinals. There are players and managers in the organization that I've always liked. And Schilt, I thought was a great manager. I love the story, how he worked his way. I think he started by
a shoe shine, like he was cleaning the shoes and the equipment and everything. Kid.
And just learn the game from the ground up. And then the way he was let go was so
ridiculous. Yes.
And So I've liked him. I'm glad he's managing, and
Me too.
he's seen everything. He's not going to be intimidated by Dave Roberts. He's not. You're going to keep flunking my best player. We're going to throw out your best player. Do you know what kind of guts that takes for a manager to say, I'm going to throw a Shohei Ohtani, the face of Major League Baseball, globally?
Oh, yes.
Doesn't care. He's old school.
He's old school. I think the game's its best when the players police it themselves. Hey, we're not going to put up with that. This is what's going to happen. And it, so hopefully that doesn't happen anymore. You don't want to get any of your best players hurt, but they couldn't let Tatis get hit 3 times. That's ridiculous. And I think he's been hurt before by getting his hand broke or something with the ball inside. So, they can't afford to lose him.
Failure.
Yeah, I think so too. It seems like he's been hurt before when he got hit. So, man, it's good. Vince, we're just in the middle of June. This is going to be a great season. So many teams, like you said, the Orioles, you picked them to win the division. And now I know it's not over, but they just don't seem to have the pitching to turn it around. But there's so many teams that came into this year. The Atlanta Braves look like they were dead in the water. Acuna comes back, and they're not getting any help from their center fielder or second baseman. They're just not hitting. But here they come. They're making a run. The Phillies, the Mets, Mark, I know you love the Mets, but man, they're in a downward spiral right now. They got all the talent in the world. It's going to be fun. I don't know what's going to happen. Have no clue who's going to make it, but it's going to be good times. There's a lot of trades. I see the Cubs. You guys are so good. If you just get a pitcher or two more, look out. It's going to be you might be celebrating in October, Vince.
Wait till we get to Cubby news.
Okay. All right. Well, that's basically it. I could go on about a bunch of little things, but that's some of the things I'm really looking forward to coming up this week. And so much stuff going on in baseball right now.
So aside from last night, what's going on with the Cardinals?
Well, Ivan Herrera has come into his own this year and it's just hitting the daylight out of the ball. Love watching him. He's not our best defensive catcher. He's probably on our roster, maybe the 4th best defensive catcher, but we love him, and he's such a good hitter, good kid. I really like him, but he got hurt. He's on the IR, and he's out for 10 days, and we brought up Thomas Sajasi, and I tell you what, our minors are much better than they have been in the last few years. The Sajasi kid I'm big on. He's one of the reasons Edmonds could be moved, and we traded Montgomery to the Rangers, and this is the kid we got. And I think he's going to be a special player. I kind of like his demeanor and the way he plays. He plays multiple positions, and he's got a little pop to his bat, although he doesn't get to play much here in the big leagues. But this is kind of like he's going to come in and be on the bench and start a spot starter while Herrera's out, which Herrera's out means other guys get to DH because he's basically the DH of the team. So we're getting to see Nolan Gorman play a little bit more now, too. Tonight, we're playing game 2 against the Cubbies, and McCreevy's back. And it's been amazing, Vince, if you think about this. Here we are, June 24th, and so many teams have had pitch. You guys have been decimated with pitching injuries. The Dodgers, decimated with pitching injuries. But the Cardinals have had no, knock on wood, because this could all end today, that we've got the same 5 starters, and they've really had a 6-man rotation at times with Matz and McCreevy. And McCreevy's been going to Memphis and back, pitched against the Yankees. Did okay. Had a little rocky time, but the Yankees are a very good team. But tonight, McCreevy's back. He's going to be pitching, giving the guys a little extra day rest. I like that. And maybe that's one reason we haven't been hurt this year, giving a little extra rest to our starters. We've got some older guys. And McCreevy will be one of the starters next year. So we're seeing a little bit of the future of the Cardinals. Our bullpen has been pretty steady. I mean, we've had the standout players, which is Matt, Phil Maitan, JoJo, this young kid that was doing great in Memphis named Ganello, and Matt have done really a fine job. Leahy's been getting hit a little bit, but I think they've overused him a little bit. And Helsley's kind of, I don't know, sometimes he gets so much time off. It seems like it takes a game or two for him to get back in the swing of things, and his fastball just doesn't seem to be as fast as it once was, but he still has a couple of killer pitches. So our bullpen's been pretty solid this year. We started out on June 15th. Had the top record in May. We were wishy-washy in April, and I thought, whoa, but I realistically knew we can't keep playing this kind of ball all year. And we started out 4-10 in June. But since that date, we have won. We had a 6-game losing streak, and we were 1-7 in those last 8 games. But since then, we have been 6-1, and I think playing the White Sox sometimes is the best medicine. We went against the White Sox, swept them. We went against the Reds, took 2 out of 3, and really there was a couple games in both those series that we probably should have lost, but we came back and won. And I like the fighting heart. That shows a little fighting heart right there. And the breaks went our way, and we won. And we're 6-1 in our last 7. Pretty good. So, like I said, we swept the White Sox. And Vincent, one of those games, one of your favorites, now one of the Cardinal favorites, Wilson Contreras stole home plate. He stole home plate. They did the replay, and he did a swim move, got his hand in there, stole home plate. And that was in that 12-2 game. And Donovan had a 4-hit game. We had home runs by Burleson and Victor Martinez. And I tell you what, Burleson, with this playing time and getting what they call the runway, that seems to be part of the language of the Cardinals now, that he has really come on and done a heck of a job. This month alone, Alec Burleson has 20 hits, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, 4 walks, 10 strikeouts, and he's hitting .303 this month. And really, Walker's not getting to play much because these other young guys are just outplaying him right now. He's still on the team, and he makes a spot start, and he still comes out and runs every once in a while, or pinch hits some, but he's getting beat out by some of the other younger players right now. So I hope he turns it around. It'd be great if everybody's hot at the same time, but that never seems to happen. So last night, I'll just say we had the Cub game. Livator pitched, did a really good job. I got to see that Brown kid you've been talking about. He did a fine job. We just got a hold of a few, and the Cardinals. Well, we hit some home runs. And then we should have had 5.
Every home run you hit was after a walk. And that's
bad.
I hate walks.
I do too. I'd rather see you get a hit or double, whatever.
I would. And all those walks came with 2 outs, walk, home run. You can't do that, and that's why Ben Brown is in Iowa tonight.
Oh, he went back, huh?
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. And PCA, we added 5, but PCA stole a home run, or it would have been off the top of the wall, but he made a heck of a play out there.
That was the most easiest looking stroll in the park, robbing of a ball at the wall I've ever seen.
It was beautiful.
It wasn't like, oh crap, I need to get this. He's just kind of, and that's how he is, you know. I've seen him turn on the jets and catch a ball that nobody should have business catching. But plays like that where you would see any other center fielder really sprinting and looking at the wall and, you know, oh my gosh, he just kind of looks like he's skating out there and just jumps up and catches it. No problem.
You know who he reminds me of? Lynn Swann from the Steelers. Where
Ooh,
Lynn Swann, they throw the ball high, and Lynn would just gracefully just go above the crowd, bring the ball back in, or tip it, and then as he's going down, catch the ball. He's like Lynn Swann. It's beautiful watching him run those routes out there and track the ball down. It's something I don't know if I've seen much of. Andrew Jones a little bit, Griffey, and videos of Mays, but there aren't many in that group that he's in. And it's a treat watching him play. He's a special player. And that's what I like about the game. Every team's got a special player, but he is a very unique. And Vince, I don't know where he gets all that power from. I mean, he swings hard, but he's like a Mookie Betts. I don't know where all the power comes from, but man, he gets into one, and he almost hit a home run last night. Almost.
The first time I saw him was when Max and I went to Iowa Cubs game, and that was the last game he played there before he was called up for the end of the season. And Max pointed and said, there's PCA. And I thought, he looks like he's 14.
He does look young.
He hit a home run in that game. And the there are players who just have a natural swing that generates a lot of torque without being a huge person. You know, we talked about Jimmy Wynn on this show before.
Oh yeah.
You know, we've talked about Kevin Mitchell, who was 5'10", you know. Um, he's like that. I think PCA is listed at 6 foot. I think he's more like 5'10". But what amazes me is the first time he faced Liberatore got him with a high fastball.
Yes.
And I can't watch the Cub broadcast because they're black. As I watch the car, they're saying, that's how you got to get him out. And I thought if Liberatore throws him another high fastball on the outside, he's going to cream it. He's going to be waiting for it. Second at bat, he hits the ball to the wall, gets a double. Would have been a home run in Wrigley and a lot of other ballparks. He is just a special player. And you can't sleep on him because he's going to show you something that you haven't seen before. So, and I don't mean to gush about my team.
No. I was gushing first. Right. Vince, I love baseball and I love my Cardinals. I do, but I love the game. And having a guy like that out there, it's wonderful. And it's great for every team. I'm glad O'Neill Cruz is with the Pirates. Well, I'm really glad he's a Pirate. But there's players I just absolutely love. Hunter Green, we both love Hunter. Watching Hunter Green just reach back with that little extra. Paul Skeens, my gosh, who is this, you know? And so, I mean, the game's in a good spot, and I do think the Cubs are very, very good. But over the last 2 years, the Cardinals haven't. The 2 years ago, we weren't even played competitive games. I'll be honest with you. Last year, we were okay team, and this year, I think the theme of this year is we're a respectable team. Any team that comes and plays the Cardinals, it's probably going to be a pretty good game for the most part. So I just think
I'm bullish on the Cardinals. I think they're a good team. I think I think they have a legitimate playoff shot. I'm more optimistic about the Cardinals, according to our panel last week, than the Cardinal fans are.
We're always tepid. We're just everything's a little tepid. Like, let's not get too crazy.
We went around and we asked, what would you be happy with? You know, and everybody said 2, you know.
Oh, yeah.
We win 2 games, I'll be happy. I said, if we win 2 games, I'll be happy. You know, well, when I get to the Cubs, I'll explain that. One thing I do want to say about that game last night is the Cardinals had a wonderful game plan against Ben Brown. They knew he's got 2 pitches, okay, which is why he can't stick around. I say he reminds me of Wainwright, with one exception. Wainwright threw the ball over the plate. Wainwright did not groove fastballs when he walked somebody. Oh my gosh, I can't walk another person, so I'm just going to throw this ball right over the plate. He does have a changeup, and I think he threw 2, both of them to Donovan, and one of them left the park. So he doesn't have a good changeup. So fastball curve. If you're going to be a 2-pitch pitcher, you got 2 options. You can either go to the bullpen and pitch 1 inning and just let it all air out 1 inning, or you can learn how to control and hit corners, and you can be a 2-pitch pitcher. Adam Wainwright became a great 2-pitch pitcher. Same stuff that Brown has. But Adam Wainwright got to the point in his career, he wasn't grooving fastballs anymore. Actually, I don't even remember him doing it at the beginning of his career. And Ben Brown, for the first 3 innings, he looked like, oh man, this guy's. But the Cardinals just realized there's going to be a point in this game where he's going to walk someone that's going to get in his head, because that's how it's been happening this year. That's why he's going back to Iowa. If he's going to stick around in the majors, he's got to develop that changeup to be a legitimate pitch, or a little bit of both. He's got to learn how to control that fastball. When your curveball is that good, you can hang it and still get guys out.
Oh, yeah.
Because it breaks so sharp. But when you're up to bat and you realize, you know, the only thing I have to look for is a fastball. He throws a curveball and it goes over the plate, he beat me. But he's going to throw me, he's got 2 pitches. He's not going to throw me 5 straight curveballs. I'm just going to wait for the fastball. And if it's over the plate, it's probably going to get to the point where it's going to leak over the heart, and I'm going to hit it hard. And that's what happened. So,
And and Lipitor, I have to say that this is kind of his coming out party. He's done a very good job. Had a couple bad starts, but that's every pitcher for the most part in major leagues. I think he's 6-4, but last night he went 7 innings and he gave up 2 earned runs. Of course, Contreras 3 for 4. He's been on a hot streak of late. But the only other thing I was going to talk about is Nolan Arenado. Seems like everybody, a lot of media here in San Luis, get rid of him. And, he was open, but only if it was to where he may really want to go play. And he's earned that right. He's been in the league for a long time. But this week he hit his 350th home run, and he's only the 6th active player with 350 or more home runs. And he is only one of 7 that's had 350 home runs and 10 gold gloves. Now, the gold glove came along somewhere, I believe, in the mid-'60s. So, this doesn't count all those other players before that. But we're talking Bench, Schmidt, Mays, Griffey Jr., Adam Jones, and Al Kaline. And 6 of those 7 guys are in the Hall of Fame. And Andrew Jones is trending in the right direction, where he probably will be in the Hall of Fame too. So I do think Arenado, easily Hall of Famer. It's not the player he was 5 years ago. But hey, I'm not the same guy I was 5 years ago either. But I love watching the guy play. I love that he's wearing the birds on the bat. He wanted to stay. Things could have been horrible how it went this winter, where their main goal was just to trade him. He said no to a trade, came back, and I was there opening day and standing ovation. He came out and had a curtain call. And I'm so glad he's on our team, and he's been a real good part working with these young guys, Contreras, Sonny Gray, and him as the veterans on the team, working with this whole group of young players. So anyway, it's great to have Nolan on the team, and I hope he's here for a few more years. I don't know. He might be gone by the trading deadline, so I'm going to enjoy every game I can while he's here. But anyway, I just want to send a little tip of the cap to Nolan Arenado and congratulate him on home run number 350. And Vince, that's St. Louis Cardinal news right now. We're tied with the Brewers, and we're within shouting distance. You probably see us in your rearview mirror as the Cubs are in first place, but we're back here still.
well, let me get to the Cubs. First of all, the good news: PCA and Kyle Tucker are numbers 1 and 3 in outfield for All-Star votes. So PCA's got a huge lead; he's going to make it. Tucker is kind of being creeped up on by Acuna Jr. So, they're both going to make the team, but Tucker may or may not start, but PCA certainly will. Schott is expected to return on Thursday. I don't know if they mean he's going to pitch Thursday or if he's just going to return to the roster Thursday. I'm kind of foggy on that because I think just last night or Sunday he pitched in AAA. So I don't know. Ben Brown's been optioned to AA after last night's debacle. Nate Pearson's also been optioned to AA or to AAA. Genesis Cabrera, former Cardinal, has been DFA'd because he decided to suck. Porter Hodge is off the 15-day IL. He closed for us last year, and he's done a little closing this year. He was setting up for Presley. Great stuff. So with Porter Hodge coming, that's going to be a huge boost to the back end of that bullpen, which is a little worn out. Our bullpen is so worn out, we got Michael Fulmer off the scrap heap and put him in AAA and called him up to the roster. He pitched good last night, so I'll take that. It's been a long time since I've said this. We had a losing week, 2-4, and let me kind of go what we did. We started off on Tuesday playing the Brewers. We won 5-3. PCA Suzuki home runs. Ben Brown actually pitched 5 innings, 2 runs. We're thinking, oh gosh, he's looking good against the Brewers. That didn't last long. Now he's in Des Moines. Palencia got a 7th save. Wednesday was rained out, so Thursday we played the second game against Milwaukee. We lost 8-7. We were down 8-3. We fought back. We were down 8-3 after 6. We fought back. Came up a little short. Happ with a home run, PCA with a home run, Swanson with a home run. And in that game, Jamison Tyone got absolutely crushed, just like apparently he's doing tonight because the Cardinals are up 8-5 after 5 innings.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm going to get into that in a minute. So Tyone got the loss. And then Seattle came to town. We've talked about Cal Riley 1-2 against him. We lost Friday's game 9-4. Hap homered, McGuire homered. Boyd, who pitched great, 5 innings, 2 runs. And then he got that line drive hit at 1,000,000 miles an hour. He caught it, but he hurt himself, so we had to take him out. Brought in Presley, gave up a couple runs. Brought in Thielbar, who's been great this year. He gave up a couple runs. And in the end, we brought in Cabrera, and he gave up 3 more runs. So it ended up being a laugher. We lost 9-4. Should have been better. Then Saturday we beat Seattle 10-7. We were up 9-1 after 3 innings and hung on to win 10-7. Happer with a couple of home runs, Tucker with a couple of home runs, PCA with a home run, Bush with a home run, Carson Kelly with a couple of hits. He seems to be finding his bat. He did really good last night too.
They did.
Cade Horton's 4 2/3 innings, 6 runs, but only 3 of them earned. He ran into some bad luck, but we still won, and Brad Keller got the win. And then Sunday against Seattle, we lose 14-6. We looked bad. We just kept pitching to Cal Raleigh, and he just kept creaming us. Tucker, Suzuki, McGuire all homered. Colin Ray, 5 1/3 innings, 11 hits, 7 runs. And then we brought in Pearson because he wanted to go back to, I don't know, working at a coal mine. So he gave up 5 innings. He got sent out. And then we played the Cardinals. This is baseball has ebbs and flows.
Oh yeah.
Our pitching was not going to sustain, especially with all the injuries. So I kind of thought Tyone is going to have some bad games. And especially in the heat, he gives up a lot of fly balls that weren't flying out of the park whenever the weather was cooler. Now that the weather's hot, those are flying out of the park. And
That's true.
Still flying out today. Colin Ray was pitching above his head. He won 12 games last year, but he had a 4.5 ERA, and now his ERA is above 4. He's kind of regressed back. We didn't get him to be a starter. We got him to be a swingman and a starter, spot starter. We've had the injuries with Shota. We've had the injury with Steele. We've had a couple other issues with starting pitching. So he's been pitching above his head as a starter. Ben Brown, I've already talked about the issues with him. Now that Imanaga's coming back, Brown was the odd man out, and that looked about right. Boyd, he didn't have to come out of the last game. He's still pitching good. I think Matthew Boyd is a legitimate number 1 or number 2 starter.
I do too.
But if we're going to make a serious playoff run, we have to get a starting pitcher. We can't just keep praying that Colin Rays of the world and the Ben Browns of the world will continue to win some games for us, because it's just not going to happen. So right now, without Shota, we have Tyone, who is not pitching very well. He got creamed by Seattle and apparently got creamed tonight. And Tyone is really on a good team. He's a 3rd or 4th starter. That's what he is. So, but we've been relying so heavily on him because we've had the devastation. When your 1 and 2 starters go out, you're in trouble.
Oh yeah, everybody.
It's going to catch up with you, and it's catching up with us. The good thing about this is Imanaga comes back. If Imanaga, someone comes off the IL, I give him a couple games to ramp up. Imanaga gets back to being the number 1 starter. That's great. That slides everyone down. Cade Horton has pitched really good for a back end of the rotation guy who's a rookie. So I like Cade Horton. Tyone is a veteran. I'm not saying throw in the towel on him. I'm saying he's a third or fourth starter on a good team. We're solving the Brown issue with Imanaga coming back. We have to solve the Colin Ray issue. So we have been kicking the tires on a lot of pitchers and signing them to minor league contracts like Michael Fulmer. I'm not worried about the bullpen because Porter Hodge is back. He was coming back. He is back. I'm not worried about the bullpen because I think Palencia in the ninth, Hodge in the eighth, and you can go down from there. Palmerantz, Flexen has pitched well. We've got the arms when healthy in the bullpen to where we can have a good bullpen. We have to pick up at least one top of the line starter, and a middle of the rotation guy would be a nice addition too, being the Steele's out for the year. Lately, Sandy Alcantara has started to look better. The Marlins are a team to deal. My question is, are we going to wait until the trade deadline, or are we going to overpay now, which we would have to do to pry him out of Miami? What's it going to be? Kevin Alcantara, maybe, who is one of our top, an Owen Casey, maybe, one of our pitchers in the minors. It's doing very well. Maybe a Ben Brown in a trade, but we desperately need that pitching. I know we've looked good, but I've also known we can't sustain this with the injuries, and that's why I said I'll be happy 2-2, because I could see this is catching up with us. We won a lot of games when the wind was blowing in 2-1, stuff like that, but we were playing the Pirates, we were playing the Marlins. I thought, when we play the Brewers, the Mariners, and the Cardinals, and I think the Cardinals are a good team, we're going to be in trouble. And that's why we were 2-4 since the last time and soon to be 2-5 since our last broadcast, because unless our bats come to life, we're down by 3 going into the 6th inning against a very good team, and that doesn't bode well. Am I panicky? No, I know it's only June. I know it's a long season, and I know that we have more talent than anybody in this division. But you brought up a good point. The two teams that don't really have a stud starter that could blow people away right now are us and you. The Pirates, Skeens, the Reds, Simon, the Brewers, this kid they're throwing out there, and Peralta.
Yeah.
So there are going to be times within the division, teams that don't have our talent are going to outpitch us. It's just going to happen. So when we aren't facing the Hunter Greens of the world, and we're not facing the Paul Skeens of the world, and the Daniel Palencia's, the Brewers pitcher.
Peralta?
We're not
Yeah.
we're not facing them. We have to take advantage of pitchers that are not of that ilk. You're going to get a few wins every now and then. We have beat Skeens once this year, but we need to play better against teams. And when you're throwing a Libator, and I think he's a fine pitcher, I don't think he's a great pitcher. We should have. What lost that game for us, the momentum switch, was not the Brown home run. It was with bases loaded, 1 out, Hap hits into a double play.
Oh, yes.
Next inning, you guys hit another 2-run home run after a walk, 2 outs, walk, home run. I told Kathy this game's over, and it was. So, but that's Cub news, and I'm not angry that we lost. I'm angry how we lost. I'm angry that this guy who has pitched on our team last year for a while, who has been a starter for the whole year basically for us, how he can still make the same mistakes. A 2-out walk to one of your hitters was hitting like 219. And I'm thinking,
Could have been Gorman. Gorman had that's around his area
I
there.
don't remember who it was, but I thought you walked him and now you groove a home run. You know, I can understand a pitch getting away from you and leaking over the plate and you giving up a home run. But please don't walk weak hitters. Walk Cal Raleigh.
Walk a 219 hitter.
Otis Spunkmeyer. Don't walk him, okay? Great cookies, Otis Spunkmeyer, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
You know who loves a good Otis Spunkmeyer cookie?
Oh, well, he likes everything. You just line him up. Give him some gummies, too. Jeremy Connor.
Jeremy Connor. Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast.
We got an interview today. I was out in Pittsburgh over the weekend checking out the beautiful, just the landscape, the stadium, taking it all in. And this is going to sound like a made-up story. I was walking across the Roberto Clemente Bridge. I was taking a picture of a boat, a tour coming through. I walked by and I see this young man right here with a Homestead Grays hat on. And I walked past him and I said, wait a minute. And I turned around and I said, sir, I love your Homestead Grays hat. And from then on, we had a 20-minute conversation about the history of baseball and the Pirates and the Cardinals and the Cubs, the Central Division, and just everything. And I said, would you be interested in coming on the podcast? And he said, why, sure. And this guy, Vince, this guy is one of us. He is a true blue baseball fan. And I was so impressed. So I'd like to introduce everybody. And, sir, I may get your name wrong because I'm terrible with names, but it's Donn Rizzi.
No, Frizzy. F-R-I-Z-Z. Yeah.
Rizzi. Well, I messed it up again, so I apologize.
It's one of those names that my family immigrated from Italy to Bloomfield, the Italian section of Pittsburgh. Last name was Freza, and somehow it got changed to Frizzy, and then my uncle didn't like the name, so he changed it to Frizza. So there's Frizzy and Frizza in that area and everything. But
fantastic. It was wonderful meeting you and your beautiful wife, who's also a baseball fan. And, you know, as a baseball fan, as me and Vince know, your wives have to be very supportive because it becomes an obsession from April to October and for most of us in the wintertime, too.
My wife is phenomenal, but see, she got brought up as a Cardinal fan.
Hey.
Her dad is from a little farm town west of St. Louis, and so when they were little kids, her dad would take the family down to the old Round Bush Stadium.
Oh yes,
and so she, I think her favorite thing was to eat popcorn out of one of the St. Louis Cardinal megaphones, and she would get to see the Clydesdale horses. I think that was her favorite.
Now, what little city west of St. Louis was she from?
No, she's from Peoria. Her dad is from Wright City.
Wright City, okay.
Okay.
Wright City, yeah, very good. Well, to honor you, Donn, I am wearing my pirate hat. I have cool. I am Mr. Clemente, I think the Ernie Banks and Stan Musial of the Pirates. Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, you could
no. He certainly fits right with him. Well, Stan Musial's one of us too. He was.
That's right.
He was from the North PA.
Yeah.
So the Griffies are from.
That's right. What? Two of the all-time greatest from that town. That's amazing.
He almost became a pirate twice.
Really?
Stan Musial. He actually went up to a tryout at Forbes Field and the usher looked at, or somebody from security looked at him, thought he was too young, so just said, "Go home, kid."
Oh my
So
gosh! Can you
that.
imagine?
And in 1960, they were considering a Stan Musial trade.
I remember that.
Yeah, he almost came twice. He's still beloved in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, man, that's fantastic. Well, we always start out when we have a guest. We ask, "How did you How did you become a fan? When did you get your love for baseball, and what brought it on? At what age, and what happened?"
I was 7. I had my dad's aunt. Her name was Ann Schutzman, and her nickname was Palsy. But she didn't have a family of her own, so she would take care of my dad and his siblings. And so she was a hardcore Pirate fan. Right about this time, 100 years ago, I'm sure she and definitely my grandfather followed the 1925 Pirates with Kai Kyler and Pie Traynor and George Grantham and those folks. And so she would always listen to Game on Radio in the evenings with Bob Prince and Jim Woods on KDKA. And so she decided she was going to take me to my first ball game. And so she took me, this was in 1964. We went and saw Henry Aaron's Milwaukee Braves. Hey. It was a Sunday. She bought me a ball cap and pennant, yearbook, scorecard, the whole bit. I still have it.
That is fantastic.
As a kid, who was your first favorite player for the Pirates?
Oh, Clemente. In fact, I was this close to getting his autograph that game because Pal took me down to the Pirates dugout. And of course, too, there were bunches of people signing autographs. Well, Clemente was there, and he was getting called by Manny Mota, if you remember that name, to come to the clubhouse for a meeting. And so I was the next to the last kid. He signed the kid in front of me's ball, and then he took off. I still had that baseball too, but it could have been, could have had his signature on it.
That's got to be heartbreaking for a kid, but it also has to be gut wrenching for a player because you got to cut it off somewhere.
Sure, and I understood it. I'll tell you what, it makes for a great story.
Oh yeah,
and I was lucky enough when they unveiled the first the home plate monument at Three Rivers a couple years ago. The Clemente sons were there, and I told them that story, and they just laughed, because they could see it happening. But yeah, I mean, it makes a good story, and what are you gonna do?
I'm telling you, Don. I met Don on the bridge, and in 20 minutes, he had me going down to the where the first World Series was played. He pointed out where it was. He also pointed out where that was the home plate, where the road and the pitcher's mound's on the other side. Mm-hmm. And
that's Three Rivers Stadium.
That's Three Rivers. Well, also, I saw the wall to Forbes Field at the University of Pitt. Yeah. But we couldn't find a parking spot. They must have had a freshman thing that day, and you couldn't park within a mile or two of that.
Very tricky.
We just go by and looked at it.
Park there.
Yeah, but thank you. You're a wonderful host, and I recommend anybody running into Don, talk to him about baseball, and he'll set you straight. The whole Pittsburgh thing going on right there.
Be happy to help.
Well, you've got a great hobby, which I think is fantastic. You're paying tribute to your was it your grandfather and your aunt? And
right.
Tell us about this hobby you have, this daily thing you're doing this year, because this is fascinating.
Well, what I'm doing, and I'm reviewing game by game the 1925 World Champion Pittsburgh Pirates. It's their 100th anniversary, of course. And it was I had done that for 1960 and 1971 and 79. I also did it for the Texas Rangers side because I used to live in Dallas. I became a big Ranger fan and got to see Nolan Ryan's 5,000 strikeout.
Wow.
So on the anniversary of that, I went ahead and, just with the baseball reference, and you just, game by game, just kind of reported Nolan getting to that point where he got his 5,000 strikeout. I mean, there's a lot of people that, it's long past their prime and they heard about it and everything. So it's like, okay, well, here's what happened. And so for those who are younger and they don't know what happened, but they've heard about it, I try to do that for them. Just take it day by day, and then they can get an idea about who Pie Trainer is.
Oh yeah,
Like that.
Definitely. I love the front pages because not only am I reading the baseball stuff, but I'm reading the history of what's going on in Pittsburgh or nationally.
Yes.
1925. And of course, today you sent me one, which I love reading, where we split a double hitter. The Cardinals and the Pirates split a double hitter, and Hornsby had like 3 home runs in that series. I absolutely love it. Thank you for sending that to me. I really enjoy it. Is there something that surprised you about the season in 25? Was there something you learned or that kind of caught your eye or anything?
Yeah, they're not a good team defensively. there's always about 2 or 3 errors, and I don't know if it's like, and this is on the Pirate side. I don't know if it is because the ground at Forbes Field was so hard. Bob Prince used to call it an alabaster plaster. And if you remember too, in 1960, the ball that came to Tony Kubek and hit him in the throat.
Oh yeah.
So it's a very hard infield. So there's a shortstop the Pirates had by the name of Glenn Wright, and he could hit. He could hit very well, but I think he has like about 38, 39 errors. So I put that in there for Pirate fans of today when they criticize, errors. It's like, well, O'Neill Cruz, for example, and to where it's like, okay, well, look at Glenn Wright, but he turned out to be a decent shortstop on a really good team. So it happens,
Yeah, I think part of that is in that era, you just had a lot more balls in play. And of course, the fields were not nearly as manicured as they are now.
Yeah.
And so the error count was higher. The gloves were smaller. They were not as efficient as they are now. So
exactly.
Fielding has taken a huge leap forward in the past 100 years. You can't win with a shortstop with 39 errors in today's game, but back then, that was kind of baseball. A lot of errors.
Exactly, too. And see, we're used to, little if any errors because, I grew up, I was pretty much out of in 64, about 1970, you're starting to get AstroTurf, where the whole infield was AstroTurf. So you had people like Dave Concepcion and Ozzie Smith who could, field flawlessly because the whole field's AstroTurf except for around the bases.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Concepcion, he mastered that throw, one hop to first base because it didn't lose any steam when it hit the AstroTurf. It picked up a little speed and boom, boom, and baseball was different on the AstroTurf.
Oh God, and I don't know if you've ever felt that stuff. I got some of the AstroTurf from Three Rivers Stadium. They're like Brillo pads. Oh, they're horrible. I don't know how they could have played on it.
Yeah. I'm a sucker. They cut chunks out of Old Busch Stadium, and I have a little square about that big from Old Busch Stadium.
So you know what it's it's god awful.
Yeah, and when I grew up in the 70s, there were a lot of people who had AstroTurf installed on like 3-season porches because you could just sweep it if you had a screened-in porch and it rained, it would just go right through it. It was kind of a big deal for a while, not just in baseball, but for homeowners.
Oh yeah.
You know what? Nowadays it seems like a baseball might last 2 to 3 pitches. If it hits the dirt at all, they throw it out. There was times, and I don't know if I know 25 was probably like this, but they might use one ball the whole game unless it went to the stands.
Sure.
That was it. And so these balls were all marked up. You could see the spin of the ball by the polish of the boot shoes or whatever. But that's changed a lot too, because now the ball's pristine, and if they don't like it, they throw it out and get a new one. I think that changed a lot of things too, right there. Because by the time you play 5 innings, that ball's kind of oblong. Sometime when we were kids, we only could afford one ball. If it went in the lagoon, the game was over.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I am so good. Well, nowadays they do have artificial turf. I know Globe Life Field in Arlington, where the Rangers play, has a form of artificial, but it's, they've explained it. It's a lot better, and you can drain it, and you don't need the roof open and the whole bit like that. And I don't know if you've ever been there or not. It looks like an airplane hangar, quite frankly.
Yes.
But there's not a bad seat in the house.
And it's 72 degrees, not like the other one across the street. That's 103. Yeah, you're right, Doug.
We were down last year for the All-Star game, and we went to, they had festivities over at the old ballpark in Arlington, which is just right across the street. And we were out there for a little while. We stayed pretty much in the shade as much as we could. We crossed the parking lot, went into the car, which was parked just like right by Globe Life Field, and sat there for a half hour with the air conditioner on. We were so hot.
It's a different kind of heat down there. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. You have a question? I was going to ask you about your memorabilia, because when I was talking to Don at the end, I just said, do you collect cards or memorabilia? Vince, he checked every box. Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
I do.
Could you give us a few of your items that would catch our eye or anything like that? Because I just wanted to show you. I got my Seaver and Ryan there, both signed. That I got that for Christmas. That's one of my prizes right there. And I got a Stan Musial right over here signed, matted and all that right there.
I do have a Stan autograph. What I do is I have the basement is pretty much memorabilia joint, and basically I like to collect ballparks. So as I said, I have there's a lot of Three River Stadium that's in my house. There's a lot of Forbes Field in my house, and Arlington Stadium, and I'm talking about the old round one. And I got some signs from that, but just literally things I've collected over the years. I do have an area where I have a lot of Cardinal and Cubs stuff. I do have a seat from one of the I call them pink seats from one of the original seats from the Round Bush Stadium. And I do have a seat that I got from a seat bottom from Wrigley Field. And Vince, you may appreciate that. I had got this from eBay, and it was a seat bottom. I guess they were just redoing the seats. So I thought, I'd like to have something from Wrigley being Wrigley. And so they sent it to me. I looked at the bottom, and there underneath it was a hardened wad of gum that somebody had stuck underneath. And I'm like, I never took it off. I had to keep it. But yeah, I've got some stuff from ballparks. But what's cool about it is that a lot of people will find stuff and they'll send it to me, or they'll give it to me, because they know I collect this stuff.
Oh man, that's great.
So there's I got a pretty decent collection of Cardinal and Cubs and White Sox stuff, and I'm not a fan of either of any of those teams.
Right.
You might appreciate this too, JJ, from Bush Stadium. You know when they had the scoreboard with the numbers.
Yes, of course.
Put in
Yes.
there. Got one of those.
Oh man. Look
As a
at
matter
you.
of fact,
Cool.
this is they were tearing down the bush, the round bush, and over at I forgot what the dome is called now, but they had Fred Bird's garage sale. They had an on sale were the flags that flew around Bush Stadium, one of which was Pittsburgh. Now these things are 4x8, and so I'm looking at this, and my wife comes by, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, I have to. And she looked at the flag and looked at me. She said, "Yeah, fine with me. I think it'll look great over your casket."
Do you make it back to St. Louis very often?
Not this year. I made it to Chicago a lot, but not to see any games. I did get to go this in March. I got to go around Wrigley, and then we went to Murphy's for a drink. But that's as close as I've gotten to any parks in Wrigley. I'm trying to figure out when I can go to either place to see Paul Skeens pitch. And
I missed him. We missed him in Pittsburgh.
yes, we did. Well, that's why we went out because I thought.
Oh, I got my skiing shirt on for you. Hey, hey.
I tell you what, Skeens must have a whole family there because there's a gazillion people with Skeens shirts and and almost as much with McCutcheon shirts. So both of them have a great extended families out there.
Now, if you go to Chicago to a 3-game series, Pittsburgh's going to play in Wrigley.
Yeah.
I promise you, Skeens will pitch games 1 and game 3, last 7 or 8 innings, strike out 15 hitters, and we'll get maybe a hit in both games combined because he owns us. We seem to face him all the time.
He's playing this I think Wednesday or Thursday up in Milwaukee. I'm this tempted to do it. I'm this tempted to go, but I don't know.
He's facing the kid that went 11 innings of hitless ball. That 6'7" kid. And Brody, my son, goes, "Dad, we could run up there for the night." I said, "Oh, I'm driving all the way up there and back." Now maybe next time.
You might as well. Come on, do it. But
go ahead.
No, I've always. I was going to ask Vince. I don't know how often that you hit the Cubby Bear when you go up to Wrigley, but that's But I've had probably one of my best breakfasts there. Breakfast meal, which was pretty much mushroom cheeseburger, mushroom Swiss burger with a pint of Guinness stout.
Hey,
I have never been there.
Oh, really? Oh, you
Really?
gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah, when I go to a game, I usually get there about noon, and I just eat ballpark food. I'm addicted. You want a good piece of memorabilia from Wrigley Field? Just get a Chicago Classic, dog, and take it home. Plaster, mold of it. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We can I'll tell you what, we can get Vienna beefs out here down in Peoria. There is a it's actually a pizza place, but they are an official purveyor of Vienna beef and not just called the Chicago dog. No, it is Vienna beef.
Nice. So who are some of your favorite players on the current roster?
Ooh. Well, we mentioned ski. You were talking Pirates or Rangers?
Pirates.
Okay. I would have to say Skeens and McCutcheon. McCutcheon's just fantastic.
One of my all-time favorites. Class guy.
Yes. I Isaiah Kiner Falefa because he was a former Ranger.
That's right.
I was glad to see us get him. Brian Reynolds, of course. And I like David Bednar. I'm glad that he's getting back into the thickest things. But and that's about it. We'll have to see how the other ones do. Yeah, that would be Henry Davis, because I like catchers.
Yeah.
I really want this kid to do well.
Yeah, he's had a slow start to his career. I hope things pick up. A couple of years ago, me and my son, we went to Pittsburgh, and we saw it was in June, and they were playing the A's, and they won. McCutchen had a hit late in the game that won the game for them. And at the time, they may have been in first place because they had a really good start to the season, and then they started fading.
Yeah.
But as we were leaving, we were listening to the interview that they were doing with McCutchen on TV, and they said something like, "Are you thrilled that your hit put us in first place?" He said, "Wait a minute, there's a lot of season left to be played."
Well, understand too that the Pittsburgh Pirates have really struggled as a franchise ever since 1992 playoffs against the Atlanta Braves when Sid slid.
Oh, yeah.
And if you go on eBay, the Atlanta Braves do have a bobblehead of Sid sliding into Mike LaValliere and being called safe. Now, keep in mind, too, Sid used to be first base for the Pirates.
That's right.
And they let him go because they were concerned about his knee and that he couldn't run.
Oh, of all the things, man.
So it's like baseball does what it does,
Yeah, growing up, I had a friend who was a huge Pirates fan, and his favorite players were Candelaria and Willie Stargell.
Oh, yeah.
And I heard all the time. And then when they won the World Series in '79, he was on cloud nine. So I followed Pittsburgh, and our friend Kevin Lee, I think it was Kevin, posted this the other day. Beautiful shot of Kent Colby coming down. My all-time favorite Pirate right there, besides McCutchen, to Colby. That guy would never close in today's game because he didn't strike anybody out. But, man, if you needed a ground ball, he was your guy, because by the time that ball was coming to the plate, it was almost going straight down.
Sure. And, I mean, he and Candelaria came up at the same time.
Oh, okay.
They came around at the same time. And so they were part of originally the Danny Murtaugh teams, and then Chuck Tanner teams.
Yeah.
And so, but it was always fun to watch Kent DeColby play. I always loved to watch the submarine, pitchers. If you remember, Dan Quisenberry,
Yeah.
Kansas City Royals was another one. And I think you might have a couple of them now. I don't know who they are. I think there's a couple of them, but it's very, very few and far between. Almost like it's become the ethos pitch.
Yeah. I remember in was it 78 or 79? I don't remember which year, but I'm at my uncle's house, and we're getting ready to watch the game of the week. And they announced that the Pirates had traded Frank Taveras for Tim Foley. And the only thing I knew about Tim Foley was he had a baseball card and he couldn't hit. That's the only thing I knew about him, looking at the stats.
Oh, but he had a temper, though.
Oh, man.
he had a nasty temper. He would fly off the handle. And
he used to call him Crazy Horse.
Yes. I think, because I remembered that, and I remembered why, but I guess that, basically Taveras came up. And while you would have him, he was a good base stealer. So you had Omar Moreno leading off, and then you had Frank Taveras batting second and playing it short. But I have a feeling that Chuck Tanner just wasn't really thrilled with having Taveras at short, and Foley was around, and he just said, you know what, we're going to go even up. And so they ended up getting, I kind of wondered about, well, like, why did you do that for? But he fit in great with that team.
I think in that 79 team, he only struck out like 12 times the whole year.
Yeah.
Very good contact hitter. And my biggest memory of Frank Taveras is watching This Week in Baseball, and they showed his inside the park grand slam. And I'd never seen one before. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was like Taveras hung around with the Mets, and if my memory serves me correctly, probably he had about maybe 2-3 years after that, whereas Foley lasted quite a while. I mean, he got into he was there, I think, until about 83, and then he was traded. I think he played for the Giants after that. I don't recall, but he had a pretty lengthy career.
Yeah.
His son pitched in the minors for a while. I know he pitched in the Mexican League. If you guys follow foreign baseball, Japanese league, Korean,
not a whole lot. Yeah,
that's interesting because there's a lot of foreign players that come in, and so I follow them, and you get to learn about, of course, the local players, the domestic players, and so I got to learn who Yu Darvish was, and when he was 19, and of course, Mr. Ohtani, who's just like,
he's okay.
Crazy. Yeah, he'll pass. I think he might be a little better than a 4A player.
He's not so Taguchi, but hey.
Some of my best recollections of the Pirates was the 70s. There was a time when the Phillies and the Pirates were together in the same division.
Oh, yeah.
And,
and I wish they were.
I do too. Those were the good old days. But I'm going to tell you something, Don. We were lucky. We played you 18 times. We were lucky if we could win 3 of those. I mean, the lumber company owned the Cardinals. And I just thought, well, the playoffs, that's not for St. Louis. That's for teams like the Phillies and the Pirates and the Dodgers and the Reds. That's it.
Boy, I'll tell you what about when you talk about the Cardinals in the 70s, and that was the team in the early 70s I was frightened of, the Red Shandies Cardinals, because they were always they would always they always seemed to be the team to take out the early 70 Pirates. And of course, too, Bob Gibson in 1971 at Forbes Field. So you actually got to see where home plate was, where Bob Gibson threw that no-hitter.
I'll be darned. Ain't that something? Yeah. When you got Bill Madlock in 79, that seems like that was the missing piece. And, Vince, big fan of Bill Madlock. That big Cub.
Well, he was with the Rangers. He came up with the Rangers. He was actually drafted when they were the Washington Senators.
I'll be
Bill
darned.
Madlock.
I'll be darned.
So, yeah.
But we got a trade. There was a trade I didn't think could ever happen. And we somehow landed Tony Pena. And I drove to all my friends' houses, knocking on their doors. We got Tony Pena. We got Tony Pena.
Oh, man.
That was like my all-time favorite Pirate Cardinal memory right there.
Oh, I was like crying like a baby because, well, we got Van Slyke, and it's like, well, okay, you got Lavalier. It's like, well, you need a catcher to replace Tony Pena, but how could you replace Tony Pena? Oh, and you got a guy from the Peoria area, man by the name of Mike Dunn, who was a pitcher for us, and did relatively well. So it was a 3-for-1. But Pena was just, Pena was great with the Cardinals, but of course that was a trade that helped both clubs.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we do need to wrap this up.
You've been great, Donn. I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you. I do want to show. I do have available by Nolan Ryan.
Yes.
I've got this meeting being recorded strip above. I don't know if I could show it off really great, and you can find this on eBay.
Oh.
This is what Arlington Stadium looked like, and it wasn't much. It was literally a minor league park called Turnpike Stadium, and what they did is it looked like they took Turnpike Stadium and got an erector set and pieced everything together in order to make it baseball to where it had passed how many people it should handle for Major League Baseball standards. They made the bleachers bigger than the rest of the park, and you could go to those.
Squeeze them in there.
Go to those bleachers. That's where I saw Nolan Ryan's 5,000 strikeout. $5. And then on Tuesday and Thursdays, they had Tom Thumb Page night, half price tickets to get into any game. So $250 to go see a ball game.
Can't beat that.
Oh, absolutely. This was great, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me.
Donn, I want to ask you a favor. I like talking about other teams that I don't follow a whole lot. And you know a lot about the Pirates. I want to have you back on in August. Would you be available August 5th? And I want you to talk about the Rangers.
All right. I'd be happy to come on. I don't know if I have time to ask you this question, Vince. Do you know what the homer and the gloman is?
Gabby Hartnett, yes.
Against who?
Is that the Pirates?
Yes, indeed.
Hey, Vince is on it, man. Vince the
Mace
man.
Brown gave up, and that knocked the Pirates out of the pennant race. And the Pirates had built a third level, the Forbes Field called the Crow's Nest, and they had all these tickets printed, and the Cubs took them with that homer and the gloman, knocked them out at first, and the Cubs got to go into the World Series.
Didn't end well, though.
Well, you were playing the Yankees. That happened to us. That happened to us in 27 anyway. They 4 in a row,
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Donn, we're going to see you again August 5th.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on. We greatly appreciate it. And
that's my pleasure.
I'm surprised that JJ, who's such an introvert, just struck up a conversation with you.
Yeah, we were walking across the bridge, and he just came up and said, "I liked your hat," and went from there.
All right. Great. All right. We'll see you in August. Okay, Donn?
Yes, indeed.
Take care, Donn.
Take it easy.
Oh, he's working on it.
There we go. All right. We want to thank Donn Rizzi for being our guest. Special treat. We are going to have him back in August because he talked a lot about the Pirates, but he's also a huge Texas Rangers fan. And come back on in August and talk about the Rangers because we love to talk about other teams. Experts of other teams. So very cool. Great guest. JJ, I am opening up the Nature Boy of baseball cards, Ric Flair.
Oh, the Flair. 92? Is that 92?
92.
I have Series 2, 2025 again, the Ohtani right there. There's how many cards are in there? 12 cards. So right there. Series 2's out now. It's been out for a couple of weeks. You want to go first? I'm going to say 2 Hall of Famers. I feel 2 Hall of Famers.
Say 4 Hall of Famers.
You went before. Wow, you're going all in on this.
This is ridiculous. I don't know what I'm doing. 4 Hall of Famers. It's not going to happen.
It might.
First card, prospects. Guy had a good career, was a World Series hero. Third baseman for the Athletics, moved to the Yankees and became a World Series hero. Scott Brocious.
Oh, yes. Very good Yankee.
hitter for the Braves. I think he caught. Let me see. Gosh, he may have caught. I can't see the back of the baseball cards.
I
Greg,
know.
do you remember if Greg Olson caught?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I do.
Good.
Yeah.
Another catcher for the Mariners, a pretty good player, Scott Bradley.
Yes, I remember him too. I couldn't tell you a lot about him, but I remember him.
In this guy's major league debut, he struck out 18 Chicago Cubs, had a year in Detroit where he won 20 games, Mr. Bill Gullickson.
I didn't know he had that big a debut. My goodness.
This guy could have been a Hall of Famer, should have been a he could have been a contender. But,
Oh.
The doctor, quite good.
I met the doctor. Good guy.
Yeah, really straightened his life out. Very good. Top prospect for the Dodgers, Mike Christopher.
I don't know him.
Oh, yeah.
He's back in the background.
Oh, this is the brother of Alfred for the Twins, Al Newman.
I remember. Yeah.
Brother of Alfred E. Newman. Very good.
Didn't he have a hit in Cars? In Cars. Dun, dun.
That was Gary Newman. Alfred
Gary
E. Newman is the guy from Mad Magazine.
Very good. Okay. There we go. A lot of famous
Newman.
Newman.
Yeah,
Yeah. Seinfeld.
Pitcher, I don't know. This guy kind of sucked.
Uh-oh.
Chris Carpenter.
Oh, yes. Yes. We love him here.
Did you ever see that Paul Matt movie called Aloha Bobby and Rose?
No.
Came out in the 70s.
No,
Pretty good movie. Paul Matt, the guy from American Graffiti, he's in it.
Okay.
We have Bobby Rose. So aloha, Bobby Rose.
Aloha, Bobby Rose.
Hall of Famer.
One. Ding, ding, ding.
Back in his catching days, also played second and center. Craig Biggio.
Oh, love Biggio. Killer Bees. Killer Bees.
Very good. Also for the Astros, pitcher Mike Capel.
Not a Hall of Famer.
No. Pitcher for the Giants, Eric Gunderson.
Oh, look out. Yavo. Yavo.
Pitcher for the Brewers, Chuck Krim. I remember him.
I sort of do. Yeah.
Former Pirate, former Ranger, former Cub. Third baseman, Steve Buechele.
Oh, I remember him. Yes.
For the Red Sox, or for the White Sox, pitcher Ken Patterson.
I don't know. I remember him.
And for the Dodgers, also played for the Reds, and I think the Giants, Mr. Cal Daniels had a pretty good career.
I remember him with the Dodgers. That's the one team I remember him with.
Yeah, one year he hit 26 home runs for the Reds. One year he hit 27 home runs for the Dodgers. Yeah.
Nice. I'll take that. I'd have a career like that. I'd love it.
Yeah, so I was only off by 4, and you were
off
off
by 1.
1, so I guess you win. Again.
Oh, bless you. Well, you went 4. Come on. You went wild.
For the last few innings, I'm going to do a voodoo chant.
Oh, the voodoo chant. Oh, Javu there. Yeah, look out. Is that Ernie?
That's Ernie.
Oh, no.
Ernie. Come on, Ernie.
I got the Pirates stuff on, so maybe that'll. Pirates, by the way, 2-game winning streak for the Pirates, so look out. All right, my cards. This is 2025 Series 2. The guy I think is going to be the Cardinal representative in the All-Star game, Brendan Donovan. He's had a heck of a year this year. Love that guy. He's leading a lot of categories. Seattle Mariner, I do not know this guy. Pitcher Troy Taylor. Do not know Troy Taylor. There's his rookie card. So he doesn't have a whole.
He looks good
there. Yeah, it looks good there. Rookie card. Go ahead.
Looks like he throws a baseball.
Yeah, it does. All right, outfielder for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I do know him, Alex Thompson. He played in the World Series. I remember he did pretty good. Of course, Corbin Carroll, who's out. Corbin Carroll, I don't know if you heard that. He broke a wrist, I believe it is, and he's going to be out.
Yeah, 10-day IL, fractured left wrist.
Oh, bless his heart. And they can't. That really hurts. The team card of the Colorado Rockies. and they look happy there. So the game probably hasn't started yet. You know, that's the Rockies for you.
6 or 7 players standing there. I bet that's how they feel every game. I bet they feel like, oh gosh, we only got like 7 players. We can't be this bad. 9, can we?
They're all doing the O'Neill cruise right there. The ball just got past them. There they are. The Orioles, and this is the third baseman, Ramon Yoris. There he is, taking a cut. He looks like he means business. Let's see. Oh, this is Minnesota Twin pitcher, Johan Duran. There he is. That's a good-looking guy right there. Oh, I like this guy. He killed us. Toronto Blue Jay catcher, Alejandro Kirk. And I just dropped the card. There he is.
Wasn't that Cal Raleigh? He'd be the American League premier catcher.
And I like him. He's built like a catcher. He's short and squatty. He gets down there. He plays hard. I like that Kirk kid a lot. But, man, he beat the crap out of us. Michael Machado of the Phillies, a pitcher. And the Phillies are coming on right now. They're in first place over in the East right now. Eduardo Rodriguez of the Diamondbacks. I don't know if I know this guy. I don't think I know him at all. There he is, Mr. Rodriguez.
I know him.
Oh, you know him?
Yeah, he's in the house right now. He's upstairs. We're friends.
All right. Very nice. You throw some great parties. Yeah. Oh, we know this guy. And as crazy as the career he's had, he's winning a world championship. He went from the Tigers to the Dodgers. Now he's back with the Tigers. Jack Flaherty. There he is right there.
First up 2 weeks ago.
A Lucas, I can't spell this name. Ercej, Erkeg. And this is a pitcher for the Royals. It looks like he's very upset about something right there.
Looks like he's got jock itch.
Oh, there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse. And summer superstars, Jaron Duran of the Boston Red Sox. And there he is. That's kind of a flamboyant card there with a lot of colors and stuff. So I haven't seen these cards before, this special set. So anyway, Vince, that's me. I don't have any Hall of Famers, but a lot of these are just young guys in the league right now.
Have you ever had jock itch? I mean, I brought it up. Let's talk about it.
I don't think so. I've been we used to have Hell Week in football, practice in the morning, and then the hot summer day would go by and we'd come back in the evening and practice again. And there's this thing called galded where you just get tore up. You barely can, you're hurt. And so I'd be out there kind of just limping around in the afternoons at the afternoon practice. But, that's rough, man. Those Hell Weeks were rough back in the summer.
I had jock itch. I think it was my senior year playing football.
Yes.
And it's the same issue of athlete's foot. My friend, he had athlete's foot when we were like, I don't know, middle school.
Itching, uncomfortable.
Well, so I got jock itch. I didn't know what it was. All of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh. This is terrible. I don't know if you've ever seen Revenge of the Nerds when they put all the jocks and the hot stuff.
Yeah.
It was so uncomfortable. And yeah, I was raised by a single mother with 2 sisters in the house. I'm not going to tell them, hey, why is my junk itching? So I didn't know what to do. I would, every night, I would take rubbing alcohol and I would put it on there because the only thing I could think of was I need to disinfect it and I need to dry it out. And by golly, it worked. After about 5 or 6 days, it was finally gone. But it was worth the pain I was going through because, I mean, I'd be in class and I'd be like,
yeah,
embarrassing, It's embarrassing to walk through the halls of the school with your hands down your pants.
Hey, it's that guy.
Yeah. That opera kid, he's nuts.
Yeah.
But he's having a ball. All right. Let's make this a PG show before we leave. JJ, I hope you have a good week.
You too, sir.
Hope you don't sweep us in 4. In fact, let me check the score now to see.
Oh, I'm scared you're even looking. It worries me.
Woo! Top of the seventh, it's 8-7 now.
Oh Lord, I just felt it. Yeah. I'm gonna get out there and watch that game, Vince.
Look. I don't know if you can see this.
What's it
Nico
showing?
Horner's first home run of the season.
Hey, you spoke it. You spoke it into existence. There you go.
I did. So, all
How
right, well,
about
JJ,
that?
you have a good one, okay?
Hey, I'll talk to you next week then.
All righty.